else, you know? All right, I'm gonna,
There we go. We're live on YouTube. Sharon, this
okay.
mic is all yours.
So what am I reading today? This is a good book. It's called Healing the Unhealed Mind. And that's all we're ever doing. And when we say healing we don't do the healing. Does everything, really. We don't do any of it. We just don't touch it. That's the main point, right? There's a question about critical mass, the 100th monkey. Let's see what it says. Okay. The following passage from the Last Judgment in chapter 2 is sometimes interpreted as critical mass or the 100th monkey idea. We all stay here until everyone goes. So this is part of text chapter 2. God has only one Son. Everyone must be an integral part. However, this is obscured as long as any of its part is missing. That is why the conflict cannot ultimately be resolved until all the parts of the sonship have returned. Only then can the meaning of wholeness in the true sense be understood. This is Ken's answer. If that passage and others like it are taken out of the context, it certainly sounds like a critical mass idea. It is important to remember, however, that the early chapters are not clear as the later ones. And this passage is from chapter 2. The early chapters also occasionally talk about miracles as something we do, something we perform, while the rest of the course makes very clear that miracles have nothing to do with bodies. So the miracle is really how we remember God. And the miracle's right here. This moment is our miracle. That's it. Miracles are not something we perform, they are something we undo in our mind. Recall, the miracle does nothing. If we were to take everything we read in A Course in Miracles as literally true, then someone like Jesus, who has transcended his ego and is in the real world, would have to wait for every single person to change his or her mind before returning home to God. That way of thinking is contradicted in the teacher's manual in a discussion of the question, how many teachers of God are needed to save the world? And then the answer is one. And that one is not necessarily Jesus. It could be, but it could be anyone, because when your individual mind is healed, you realize there is no individual mind, no separation, no separate parts of the sonship. The workbook teaches when I am healed, I am not healed alone. The healed mind realizes we are all one mind, and the one mind never left its source. That recognition in the end of the ego and its world. Thus, this passage from chapter 2 of the text must be understood as reflecting the world's point of view. Another passage in the text states, just as the separation occurred over millions of years, the last judgment will extend over similarly long periods. This implies that linear time is real. In contrast, the passage quoted above from the manual, and particularly everything else in the course, is from the point of view of the healed mind. Now that's the thing. All of the things that it's doing in A Course in Miracles is talking to the healed mind. There's no person, because this was over the moment it was thought. So all we're doing all day long is listening to an insane voice telling us that there's something to be afraid of out there, you know? We need to remember that large parts of early chapters were written as a dialogue between Helen and Jesus, and that the writing was heavily influenced in form, not content, by Helen's anxiety and considerable discomfort with the process of scribing. These aspects cleared up by what is now chapter 5, after which the writing becomes more fluent with far fewer inconsistency in forms of expression. Since there's no way of understanding the concept of only one teacher of God being needed for the world's salvation, the above passage from chapter 2 is for those of us stuck in the dream. The purpose of the discussion of the last judgment and the second coming, which also occurs, is to correct the traditional Christian understanding of these terms that are so fraught with fear and guilt. So Jesus used, I guess, the Christian Bible and everything to obviously to pretty much bring us back to where we never left. And it is confusing. Does anybody want to share about, it takes only one person, and explain it? Lynn, would you like to?
Oh, there we go. I unmuted myself. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it is absolutely true. There's no doubt about it. Because there is only one mind, and the only one mind, I'm a part of the only one mind. Um, just like, I mean, we're all the same. It's a hologram. It's not like there's all different pictures everywhere you look. We are the one thing that is all things. So this idea of uh, all or nothing, it is true, because this world I see is a projection of my own thinking. I'm projecting it from my mind. So of course, when I stop projecting it, the world and every bit of it is going to be no longer there, because it's not there now. It's like
Right.
we're all in the theater watching the movie, and when the movie is over, there we're not in that anymore. But we're all the same thing. So yeah, there's only one. When I stop projecting it, it's over, and it returns to the oneness that we were. We've never left. That's what's so funny about it. We've never left. And we've always been only one. And 8 billion, that's nothing. Every single thing, all of God's creation, is all the same. So, like I said, when I shut off the projector, the movie is over. Dove, go ahead.
Yeah, I did put something up on the chat earlier when Sharon said, what is there for us to do? We are responsible to ask for a new teacher and resign as our own, because the only reason that we're living in fear, and that's the purpose of the Course of Miracles, is to let go of fear, is that we chose the wrong teacher. We chose the teacher of fear, which is the teacher of seeing differences, things that oppose us. Anything that opposes us is going to put us into a fear. We have to defend ourselves. When you defend yourself, you're attacking yourself. So we are responsible. I put it up there. I must have chosen wrongly before. Let me choose once again and make a better choice now. That's how the text, chapter 31, section 8, closes. Let me choose again. So we are responsible for choosing the right teacher. The right teacher is always with us, but we have chosen the wrong teacher. That's how we got here.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole point is that we never left, and also that when, what Jesus is basically saying, here Ken is saying, like, it is not so much when we become enlightened, he dragged us all with him, implying we did not want to go. It's rather that when he became enlightened, he knew there was no separation, because the only thing that's here is presence. So we have never left. When Jesus woke up, we were with him, because we'd have to be, because there's no person. And, I think that that's important for me to teach myself. Not that because I know there's no person, but just the fact that enlightenment is already. There's nothing we have to do to be enlightened. In fact, that's the oxymoron of the whole spiritual path, because it confuses the ego into believing that it can wake up. It can't wake up. The only thing the ego does is either thin out, fall away, and it's just this perfect dream that, I believe that as a character that I was here 70 years when in fact I wouldn't begin to understand how long I've been here. And one thing that is helping me these days is I really don't know anything. For me to have an opinion is just putting me back in hell. And I do have them through the day. And then I realize, oops, went to the wrong teacher. And it's that simple. We just call on to Holy Spirit, come right now, I need you. And you will feel it. There's a release in just asking. He's saying here, doing the outrageous thing. In the context of not doing anything out of guilt, can you say something about the passage that says that if your brother asks you for something outrageous, you should do it? That's a good one. Some 100 pages later, this is Ken's words, Jesus returns to the passage, forgetting he uses the word outrageous and now uses the word foolish. I have said that if a brother asks a foolish thing of you to do it. But be certain that this does not mean to do a foolish thing that will hurt either him or you. And that's where I say, there are seeming people there. So, Ken often talks about the fact that people, like if you're in the hospital, people that are course students will say, get out, that's not you. You're not even here. And that's where I think the craziness of the ego comes in, because the ego is trying to get in always through the back door. So he's saying here, Jesus does not mean that you should do something out of guilt, because that is harmful to you and harmful to the other person. The idea is that when someone asks you something outrageous and you experience yourself in quick opposition, I'm not going to do such a silly thing. You need to realize that this quick opposition comes from the ego. The right mind does not oppose anything.
Oh, I love that. Oh my God, I love that, Sharon. That is so cool. What you're reading right now. That is maybe I think it's so cool because it's absolutely how I see it too. I've never heard anybody say this like what you're reading, and I see.
Well, it's Ken. It's Ken.
I know that. I mean, this particular thing. Where are you reading this from?
Do you have the book? It's called Healing the Unhealed Mind.
I may, let me check. But yeah, healing the unhealed mind. That's great. So Karen has her hand up.
Oh, Karen's here. Oh, yay. I didn't see that. Okay, good. And Wendy too. Hi, Wendy. I'm so glad you're here. Okay.
Hi, guys, everybody. Good morning. I was listening on the radio, Sharon, and I was just about to ask you what page. I have the book. What page are you on?
83.
83.
This is a great book. Does anybody know well, I know Lynn knows Myra, right? Yeah, because she's the one who had been talking about it in one of her teachings, that this is a very good book. And if you just sit with this book, it's saying everything you ever need, because you're already that. I am that is really that's the truth. Anyway, your mind has chosen to see itself as separate from someone, and you are now accentuating that separateness by saying, I won't do it. See, these passages from A Course in Miracles are so profound, but you have to get to a place, and I think we all are there, that we know there's no bodies here. Because even though I knew, because the Course is so clear with all their lessons, I'm not a body. However, and Ken says this, unless you really dig in and realize that you have never been in a body, this is false evidence appearing real. Karen, do you want to share?
I was just listening on the radio, and I was loving what everyone was sharing, because what you were saying how we never left. The Course tells us we never left heaven, and the Course tells us that we're home dreaming of exile.
Right.
So every time I think that, every time I believe one of these thoughts, I'm in hell again. So I never left, but it's when I choose to be separate, when I go back to thinking I'm Karen, this identity, this character here, playing a role, And that's a moment to moment practice, you know,
It
but
really is, yeah.
I love this little book, and I'm just so glad you're reading it. So when I heard you were, I didn't know you were reading it. I had no idea you were reading it.
Well, I sometimes I open other books, but I might stay with this book a while because I think this book is the whole course, but everything's the whole course. Because when
Can
we
you-
see, yeah, go ahead.
Can you tell me exactly where you are on page 83? What paragraph are you on?
The first one on 83 because it's long.
Okay, so it kind of begins on page 82. Jesus did not mean that you should do something else.
Yes.
All right, do you mind starting there again? Starting over, like where?
Okay. Jesus did not mean that you should do something out of guilt. Now, I do sometimes do things out of guilt. I know I do, because this is harmful to you and harmful to the other person. And when do I do it? Is when I see them as a person. Because if I see a person out there, I am actually believing I'm a person, because a hologram can only see itself. So the idea is that when someone asks you something outrageous and you experience yourself in quick opposition, I'm not going to do this silly thing. You need to realize that this quick opposition comes from the ego. So right there, the ego's coming up in a nasty way as usual and saying, I'm not doing that. The right mind does not oppose anything. It may not do everything people ask, but it does not oppose. Saying no would always be kind and gentle, even if its form is firmness. Quick opposition is never gentle. Thus, when you find yourself quickly opposing something, I'm not going to do that. The first thing to do is go within, recognizing that the world of outrageous requests you see is an outside picture of an inward condition. And the inward stuff is that we are projecting, it's just thought. Thought, actually believing thought, right? It will inevitably bring guilt because you are making separation real all over again. Now, that doesn't mean you have to say, yeah, but as long as we see ourselves as the one, and we can only see ourselves as the one when we're in the formless, unchangeable awareness. And that's it, So it's kind of like the mindfulness that takes place in our mind throughout the day is to realize where am I now? Where am I? Am I in my head, or am I in my head, or am I here right now? Am I the one that has the problems, or am I the solution? Well, the solution's already been resolved because it was over the moment that it was thought. And that's where you never forget to laugh, because this whole movie is insanity, believing that we could usurp the power of our Father. And the Father is the creator. Now, it's interesting. I don't know if you guys know Daniel Shea, but some of his YouTubes come up and I listen. He said there really is no creator. I don't know where he got that, and you can't even go by me. But what we do know is we are still in heaven. I mean, we never left God. So this here is just a sideshow, a show that we all are performing in, believing it's real and believing how unfair it is and how ridiculous it is. And there you go, we're stuck. So a common confusion among students is to think of gentleness as wishy-washy or firmness as attack. When we are right-minded, we are firm about doing or not doing something because it is the kind thing to do. This is similar to a parent being firm with a child because the child is about to do something that will be harmful to itself. You can be gentle, loving, and firm as you say, no, I'm sorry, but you cannot do this. Or you can be firm and have seeming strength of raising your voice and exclaiming, no, you cannot do this. And if you do it, I will punish you. Okay. Jesus models gentle firmness in his course when he does not go along with our illusions. I will love you and honor you and maintain complete respect for what you have made, but I will not uphold it unless it's true. The clarity of his teaching is always kind and respectful, and that is true. I mean, there's never any kind of like, you should have done it right, or, you're taking too long to wake up, or all of that is our crazy mind. Karen, do you want to read then too on 84, and then Lynn can, because this book I'll do every week, because it's a dense book in the sense that he has so many goodies in this book. So anyway, I'm going to turn it over to you, Karen, if you want to. Hi, Lindy.
I just love this, what the advice, he's like giving great advice here, because,
He is. He's giving,
oh my
yeah.
gosh,
I heard
because,
Myra. Do you know Myra at all she's with Kate? Well, she's not with Kate Greaves, but she's in that group.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So occasionally she teaches and I go to her things. And one day that people asked her what helped her the most. And she said, this book. She said, I read it every day for a couple of years and it just gave her a lot of clarity. So go ahead, Karen.
Are you guys seeing it on the screen now?
Oh, you have it on the screen. Oh, wow.
I'm asking, do you see it there?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
good. I had this book, I guess we were reading it before we were up to chapter 2. Somebody or the other, maybe me. I don't even know. But yeah, I already had it. So here we are. We started at the bottom of this paragraph or bottom of the page.
All right. So who wants to read?
By the way, I think this what you were just reading was to me a very clear picture of how to experience or deal with other people and their requests, in either their verbal requests or just they need something. How do you help them, or do you help them? uh, and I just love it. Is uh, very beautiful section. So
I'll
yeah.
tell you, this book does bring us all, it brings everything together too, because he's taken the most important parts of the course. I guess all of them bring everything together because there's nothing to go together. If like we see that we're just seeing these objects all day long and we believe that we have something to worry about. Nothing to worry about.
Nothing to get hung about. That's right.
All right, who wants to read now? Because I just moved away for a minute because I have to get a cup. Anybody want to read? Hey, people.
I just want to comment on what Lynn just shared. I agree with you, Lynn. Yesterday I took my mom to the doctors, and I haven't been doing as much as I normally would do for my mom because I'm going through a lot of my own stuff right now physically, and it's a lot right now dealing with my mom. And so I did agree to take her to the doctor yesterday, and so I made different choices. So when I went there, instead of taking her, she has one of those walkers that, really nice one that has a seat that you can sit on when you get tired. And then another one that's just an easy, quick fold up walker that does the job. So I said, do you mind if we take the fold up walker? It's going to be a lot easier for me to transport, when we go. And she was like, sure. She's such an easy patient and mother and person and human being in general. She's a beautiful soul. And so we did, but the day ended up being so long. And oh my gosh, I was with her 8 whole hours, and I did not expect to be. But the whole time, I had to keep going back to the right mind and say, come from a place of love. You are not this body. So whatever you're experiencing, make it about her. Don't worry about anything. It's all perfect. I had to keep going back and back and back because it was getting really tiring and exhausting. I'm not going to go into all the details, but in a long story short, it ended up being an 8-hour day. And it's a handful. It's a handful. So I am delegated certain things that I do, and I am doing them, and I'm happy to do them. But now I'm just being very clear on what I can and cannot do, and coming from this place that he's talking about, that place of kindness and of love, and going within, recognizing that, what am I doing this for? What is it for? Am I doing this out of guilt, or am I doing this out of love? And if I'm doing it, doing anything out of guilt, that's when I have to step back and look at it, because it's not good for either. Ken's telling us here, it's not good for either one. So it's very, very important, these things that he's teaching us here and reminding us that we all know these things, but just to be reminded. So the kind thing to do is always the best thing to do. Thanks. And we have to be kind to ourselves first before we can be kind to anyone else. Thanks.
Yeah, now Dove's on too. Do you want to share, Dove? I guess he went to somewhere else. Maybe he's on the phone. Okay, so thanks, Karen. A common confusion among students is to think of gentleness. Oh, I read that already. You can be gentle, loving, and still firm. Yeah, that's a tough one because I tend to, like if I'm gentle, like he's just saying, stay kind. And what does that mean? Well, that means that you're thinking of the other person first, really. But at the same time, we're also aware that we are all in the process. No need to share, he says. Okay. Then he says something like to be firm. Now, when I'm firm, I don't have to be angry. And that's basically what he's saying, Then too, one does not. All right, somebody's calling me now. Pick up the thing for a second, guys, because I have to get this. It'll be 1 minute. I'll be right
Okay,
back.
I'll read a little bit. So,
Okay.
so I was thinking that you left off at the bottom of this paragraph, but I'll go ahead and read this. Uh, uh, a common confusion among students is to think of gentleness as wishy-washy or firmness as an attack. When we are right-minded, we are firm about doing or not doing something because it is the kind thing to do. This is similar to a parent being firm with a child because the child is about to do something that will be harmful to itself. You can be gentle, loving, and still firm as you say, "No, I am sorry, but you cannot do this." Or you can be firm and have the seeming strength of raising your voice and exclaiming, "Hey, no, you cannot do this. And if you do this, I will punish you." Jesus models gentle firmness in his course when he does not go along with our illusions. "I will love you and honor you and maintain complete respect for what you have made, but I will not uphold it unless it is true." This is from text chapter 4, section 3. The clarity of his teaching is always kind and respectful. And so as I'm reading this here too, and looking at what he's really saying, I honestly believe that the nonviolent communication that we have been working on so diligently is really helpful in giving us the words to say and the way to say them to be truly loving and non-evaluative, not judging the person. Now that's the problem, is that when we go into any kind of uh, correction or discussion about thoughts or ideas or behaviors, a lot of times we go into judgment, and when we're in a state of judgment, then whatever that person may seem to be doing or saying, we're not going to be able to communicate with them, because we're not communicating with them, we're communicating with our judgment of them, our evaluation of them, our decision about who they are and what they are. And and I see that Lindy has her hand up. Go ahead, Miss Lindy.
Thank you, Lynn. I think it's a question. I couldn't text it all, or it could be just clarification. I'm constantly reaching out to my family, my siblings, in a loving, kind way to admonish family values: love, respect for one another, supporting each other, being friendly towards one another, being kind, respecting each other's lifestyle. So one of the sisters I was talking to the other day. I asked her, I said, "Are you positive about your change of heart, staying in the family home when you come to New York to visit your boyfriend?" She said, "Yes, I am positive," and then came back with all these negative words. You are aggressive. You are, what she said, a bully. You are, what else? What was that other word she used? I'm a bully. I'm aggressive. And something else she said, I can't remember the other word. And I couldn't understand how she sees, how her imagination goes this way. And then I shot out my mouth, you a lying wonder. So I'm wondering, what is all of that?
Oh my gosh. So can you see, or can you imagine that anything that you said or did, or the way you approached made her feel, or it didn't make her feel, but gave her the idea, the thought that you were judging her? Because I'm guaranteeing you, if she was feeling like she was being judged, then she was going to be negative about it and be unhappy, just as you would be or I would be. And so these ideas, when we think we're being helpful, we were just talking about this last night. When we think we're being kind, a lot of times what we're really doing, is we're judging a person, judging their behavior, judging their activity, judging their thinking, whatever the judgment is of them. And then we are talking to them based on that judgment as if that was what they are. And it's as you probably will know, when people speak to you out of judgments, you are not going to like it. And in fact, you're going to probably be very unhappy about it and say some very mean things about it, or at least think some very mean things about it, because it's not fair to be being judged. Now, that doesn't mean that you were judging, but if she experienced how you were speaking to her as a judgment on herself, her behavior, her character, her abilities, whatever, if she perceived what you were saying to her as a judgment, she was going to lash out at you and be angry, because that is how we do. And so this is why we have to learn how to have conversations with people that involve nothing but respect, nothing but approval. If she felt like you disapproved of her, and that disapproval was enough to make her very angry because she thought she was being judged. And this is why for me, I have to step back always and look at, where is this coming from? Is this coming from a desire to control a person, a desire to change a person, a desire to, whatever it is? Where is this coming from? And why would I even say it? If it turns out in my mind that that what I'm saying is coming from a sense of judgment on my part, then I'm best just not to say it, because better to keep your mouth shut and not uh not yeah, exactly, Deb. It is better to keep your mouth shut and not risk causing that harm, or figure out another way to say it. And so yeah, I don't know what was said, I don't know how it was said. I just know in general people do not like uh being seen as being less or unkind or unloving. And if she experienced herself, if she experienced that you were telling her that she was kind and unkind and loving, uh, I could see how she would have hurt feelings and want to lash out. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I don't know what your
I'm
thoughts.
back. I'm back. Where are you? It's listed on NB. Okay, yeah, I bet Wendy does a lot of nonviolent communication. It really goes really well with the course. It does. It goes well with all of it. Where were you, Lynn?
Okay, just then starting at then too. We were talking about this
Okay.
last some. So
All right.
then, if you want to continue reading.
No, you can. It depends. Like I love groups. So if everybody wants to share with me, that's perfect. Whatever you guys think. You know, I don't need a teaching of my own.
It's interesting that you say that because I was listening to Zelma yesterday, and she was saying that she very seldom goes and looks at her videos from her teaching, and she was thinking, well, maybe it would help me out to be, maybe I could be a better presenter if I saw how I was messing up, and she was saying all these different things about, why it might be a good idea. To me, why it's a good idea is a lot of times I don't even hear what I'm saying. So
Right.
I
It's because
go
it's
back and
coming from
listen.
the higher mind.
I'm
Yes.
like, oh my gosh, did really? Wow. So yeah, so we're here, everybody here is here for the same purpose because we are one mind.
Yeah. We're all just, and it's funny because it takes a while to really get that you're not in a body. You're really not this body. And we can just watch it.
Yeah.
So, anybody else want to read? I mean, then too, one does not have to let go of limits in order to be gentle. Another common misperception. You only let go of limitation of the ego that say you and I are separate. If you set limits and are firm, but are not being gentle, you are saying differentiation is real. There are good things to do and bad things to do. Yeah. It's all about the authority problem. I knew he was going to get to that because the authority problem is like we really believe that and the majority of the humans on this planet believe they're here, but you're never here. It's a recorded process. So I am authority and I'm telling you that you cannot do the bad thing, but there is no love in that, no shared interest. Instead, you are simply being authoritarian in forbidding the person from performing certain behaviors. We cannot be authoritarian and gentle, but we can, as is Jesus, be gentle, loving, and authoritative. Yeah.
So just to stop there. So Lindy, I don't know if I answered your question or if that was clear, but I think you just said right here what she just read is this thing, you can't be telling other people what to do and thinking that you are somehow or the other in charge of them. Even though it probably feels really good to do it. Because you're not in charge. We're not in charge of anybody.
We're
And
not in charge of anything. I mean, the truth is we could do nothing the rest of our lives. And if we didn't pay attention to anything out there, we could just be in this peace.
that's right. That's
That's
right.
all that's really here.
So Lindy did
Lynn,
yes.
according to the ACM, the ACIM course, I think when we say we are one and we are of the same mind, when she called me all those names, you're a bully, you're aggressive. I can't think of this other word she said. I'll have to look at her text, or maybe it's gone. I don't know. But there was another word. But when she said all that, um, I, I was wondering. I said, now what make her say these things when I was just addressing the way we all are interacting with one another? Like I was like saying something like, I wish I'm praying. This is how I said it. I'm praying that we all can get back to the way of loving one another, of supporting one, because we don't talk. We don't even say hi to each other. I'm the one who calls and say, hi, how's everybody doing? I'll reach out like that. Hi, how's everybody doing? But I don't get that back from them. I'm like ostracized. And so I was just wondering, why is that going on with so many family members in our community? That's it. And then when she responded like that, I was like, okay, maybe I should just look at that and see if I am being aggressive, if I am being a bully. I can't think of the other word, but I haven't talked to these girls since I came here to take care of my mother. It's always been hostile communication towards us when I became my mother's caregiver. So I just don't understand it. I was just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and I love that, Lindy, because this is where we take responsibility, right? This is where, okay, if it's happening to me, it I must be calling for it. Now, this is what A Course in Miracles is telling us. If something is happening to me in this life, in this situation, it's because there's a lesson here that I need to learn. So, is the lesson to say, no, I'm not, and you're all wrong, and you don't know what you're talking about. That doesn't seem to me like the kind of lesson that the Holy Spirit would send us. The lesson has got to be, let me look at myself, my behavior, the way that I deal with people, the things that I say, and the way that I address them. Let me look at this and see if I am being a bully. And in what way am I being a bully? And I'll tell you, hon, I'm a bully. I find myself bullying my family, my children, wishing they would do this and that, and why don't you do this? And I mean, they know me well, and so they're likely to tell me right off the bat, Mom, uh, I'm a grown-up person now. You don't you don't have to tell me what to do or how to be. You already raised me once, and so they will not hesitate to tell me that, and I will not hesitate to accept that and be happy that they're willing to tell me. If I were you, my personal opinion, believe it or not, here, I'm throwing a personal opinion here. I would be grateful that she said those things to me because that then would give me the opportunity to look at my thoughts and my behavior and see where I might be doing that. And once I discover where that comes from, because it's not doesn't come out of nowhere. These people are not just sitting around imagining, that Lindy is being this way. They're seeing that from their own experience somehow. So take it as a gift and be grateful and then look at yourself and see, how am I doing this? Like I said, I don't think it would be coming at you if it hadn't been coming from you. So, this is the reason that you're being shown this, is so that you can examine your own behavior and your own thinking. And doing so, you will be healed. Your mind will be healed. And guess what? Your relationship will be healed as well. Because at that point, there is no more block. You've gone through the work that you needed to do to open up that channel of communication. So uh, let's see what some folks are saying here in the chat. Wendy is saying the other person's guilt can create a filter through which they see themselves as guilty and hear what others say as shaming and blaming. Exactly, Wendy. It can be the other person's guilt that creates a faulty perception. Exactly. That is so true. That, it could be the way that they're feeling guilty for not being friendly with you or whatever. And maybe might be why she's lashing out. But that doesn't matter because you can heal it from your direction. That's the thing that's so beautiful about this course. It teaches us that we can heal the whole situation by changing our mind about the situation. And uh, that's I just what a gift this is. Karen, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you, Lindy. I love when you share your experiences, and thanks for everyone's sharing. I love what everyone's sharing. And the thought that came to my mind is when you said I'm the only one who reaches out to them, and not that anything's wrong with that. I think it's beautiful. For me, my question for myself would be like, am I accepting not really even that, do I think things should be different? Do I wish things were different? Do I want things to be different, and do I want them to act differently? And because it's just, for me, accepting all things exactly as they are, which is not always easy. And the ego's perception is, every perception here is wrong. All of it. We're all wrong. None of us are right here, because we're all usually speaking first and loudest with the ego. So the only right perception is always going to the Holy Spirit, which there's only one perception, there's only one true perception, and that is either love or a call for love. And that is not always easy either. But I don't think you did anything wrong. I don't think anybody did anything wrong. I think everybody's doing the best they can. And it's always just coming back to that place of love. And when I'm allowing it to affect my peace of mind, when I'm allowing it to destroy my peace, I'm making it serious and I'm taking it personally. And so then I just go back to, I don't know what anything is for. And it's all happening perfectly, as everyone is saying here, for me. This is your classroom. It's happening for you to learn the lessons that you came to learn, whatever they are. We're right now with my mother. She's starting to forget a lot, and she's on a lot of medication, and she writes everything down, what she's been doing for years. And my brother wants to change things, and he wants her to get a pill box. And there's 6 of us, and we're all chatting all the time on text. That's how we communicate, because it's easier that way. And they're all up in arms about this. They don't think that she needs to change anything. And my brother's arguing, you guys are so afraid to change, blah, blah, all this stuff. And so I basically, in my mind, said to my brother, only what you're not giving can be lacking in any situation. And I gave him a little bit of, in front, the whole group, I just said, my brother, if you feel that, then just, if you want to talk to her about it, show her your point, and explain it to her how you feel, and maybe not even take the writing down away from her. Have her do both, try both, and see if she, how she feels about it. Maybe she'll start to like the pill box and let go of the writing things down. Whatever. I gave a few suggestions, and whatever. It's like, I don't even care. It's like whatever she's comfortable with is all that matters to me. I'm not allowing any of it to affect me or take it personally, and that's the beauty of it. So I think that's where we get caught up in wanting things to be different. And I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying it's something to look at. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Karen. Yeah, that's beautiful. And yeah, I mean, believe me, there's nothing more awful, I mean, to me as a person, than to have, someone else taking charge of my personal self, telling me when to take my pills and what, I mean, nothing makes you feel like you're helpless or hopeless more than having that kind of situation happen. So I could see how she'd be resistant. I would be resistant too. And that's only natural, I think. We're we want to be autonomous. We don't want to have we don't want to feel like we're less than. So it's really important to help person maintain their dignity, at the same time be helpful. That's a whole course in itself, is how to be helpful and not to be overbearing to where you're destroying a person's autonomy or sense of dignity. So anyway, anybody else have any thoughts before we go on? You want me to read now? Let's see.
It doesn't matter. I can read too.
Yeah, we're almost to the end of our time. So you want to just go ahead and read the next paragraph then, and
I'm going to read it from my book. Where are we in the book? Because I'm on the phone and I can't see
what
it.
attracts people to this course?
Okay, what page is that? Wait a minute.
It's 84 on my Kindle, so I don't know
What
what
attracts people to this course, even if they do not know what it really says, is that it has a clear sense of authority about it, gentle and kind. Jesus is quite clear about saying what the truth is. Like God, Jesus looks at our illusions and simply thinks otherwise. He does not threateningly shake an accusing finger at us, but merely says, as long as you are afraid, I will wait. Now, that's just a really beautiful thing. Nobody's rushing. He's just saying, I'm here, right? I will not drag you to heaven. I will invite you and help you undo your blocks of fear. As Gershwin's song says, who could ask for anything more? Trying to drag oneself or others into heaven is hardly loving. When we attempt this, we are clearly saying that we are not in heaven. And see, I was reading the Course for many years as the person, really, not realizing it. I would tell myself I'm mine, but to get out of realizing that you are the decision maker. Forget about the character that you think you're playing. You're the decision maker. And in every moment, you make the decision whether you want to have peace or you want to have chaos, because that's what the ego is, total chaos. It's saying here, there is a passage in chapter 5, the first place where the Holy Spirit is talked about at any length, in which Jesus says that the Holy Spirit does not command or overcome. He merely reminds. That's it. That is what this course does. It reminds us of the truth that we are already home. You are at home in God, dreaming of exile, but perfectly capable of awakening to reality. And the whole point is we already are awake. So it's kind of like a misnomer to say that, I want to get enlightened or I want to awaken, because you already are that. That's all that's here. The person is absolutely meaningless. Anyway, should I stop here or should I go on then?
I don't know.
I
Maybe
don't care either way. Yeah, I mean, because we're going to do never forget to laugh too. So, and it's already 10:26 because it's an ongoing thing. So we're on 85, but we can be anywhere next week. The whole point is I probably would do really well if I just started from the beginning and just, maybe I'll do that if people would come. I feel better, like I enjoy it more when it's all of us than just one teacher, because the sharing is really what helps all of us, you know. So anyway, I'm going to stop and you'll bring up the next teaching.
okay. I'm going to go ahead and close the.
Take nothing serious, right? Doug just said take nothing serious. The whole point is that that's the only problem we ever had, is taking this shit seriously. Nothing serious about it. Giggle while you wiggle.
Let's see. I'm going to stop that share, and I'll go ahead and stop